Welcome to Whispers to a Bride, where we talk about the stuff no one else is talking about. We are going deep on the emotional aspects of getting married, the stress, drama, and turbulence that affects your own sense of identity and your closest relationships. We are talking about what it means to be a bride and how to navigate this sacred time with more grace and ease. I'm your host, Kara Gassabay. As a life coach and therapist, I'm going to be sharing super practical tips so that you can not only rise to the occasion of your wedding, but also your life. Hello, and welcome back. You know I'm Kara, Whispers to a Bride, and today we are talking all about bridal party dropouts. I get a lot of questions about bridesmaid drama, friendship fallout, like stuff that really goes on with our girlfriends around weddings. And it's just a really intense time for our friendships. As you know, I talk all about these dynamics, but today I wanted to do a little different approach, and I am going to tell you the story of when I was a bridesmaid dropout. And I feel like telling my story might really help all sides of the situation, right? Like if you were a bride and you had someone drop out of your bridal party, sort of maybe help just consider what that other person might be thinking or how it might be playing out, and just kind of offering a different narrative. And also if you are someone who is in the midst of being a bridesmaid in a wedding and you're just feeling like really tortured about it and unsure what to do, hopefully my story can help you like get in touch with your own instinct about what's the right choice for you, because there is never a one size fits all answer for this kind of thing. I think it's really personal. It's really situational. And I almost don't know too if there's a right or wrong, because I can look at the situation and see how I could have done it differently, and that might have been good. But also I feel like I am able to stand by what I did end up doing. So it's just kind of interesting and nuanced, but these things are worth talking about, I think. So I was a bridesmaid in a wedding for a friend from college. And the closer everything got to the actual wedding, the more I just really felt like this is just not a good idea for me. Like this just, everything started to feel really, really heavy and negative, and like, do you know when just every part of you is saying like, no, I do not want to go. I do not want to do it. Just, it was like a full body no. And it was interesting because at this time I was just started at the beginning of like my coaching journey. I had finished my graduate study in social work, but I had just moved more into the personal development and like learning more about like trusting your instincts and not just doing things because you're supposed to do them, and just really, so I think that's such an important part of the story, because I think it's why I sort of did this, because it was sort of out of my nature, but it was like just such a compelling time to really try on this new paradigm of really like respecting yourself and listening to yourself, and not just being a people pleaser and going with the flow and doing what you're supposed to do and doing what seems like the good, nice, friendly girl always does. Sort of that good girl complex that I had always, navigated in and worked, benefited from. So anyway, this particular situation, I mean, the details aren't super important, but they are important enough that like one of the things, I had gone up for a shower, I think, and interacting more with her fiance, I just was like, I just feel like this person is just like not good for her. And I was just feeling like sad and worried and like maybe disappointed, like, don't do this, right? Like I just had all these things that were telling me that like I just felt like this was just like a horrible idea for her. And so there's that. And I just was like, but me, the wedding, like, does that mean like I'm co-signing this and like I endorse this? And I had a lot of, I think, unresolved and confused feelings about like, what does it mean to be in someone's bridal party? And I think since then, I think there is a ton of nuance. I absolutely believe that you do not have to think that your person that your friend is marrying the right person. You don't have to understand their love, their relationship, their journey, their whole thing, but you can be there and support your friend, her decision, her joy, her journey without co-signing the entire marriage. I do think that happens so often, maybe more often than not, where you're just like, I have no idea if this is a good idea for them, but they know, or they seem like they know, and I want to support them in their journey. And I think that is absolutely fine. So do not take away that, like, unless you fully support, understand, and can condone someone's marriage, that you shouldn't be a bridesmaid. I do not think that at all. But at that time, I remember just being like a little like, gosh, do I have any integrity if I am signing up for this? Just, I fully believed like this is not a healthy, good thing. Like, I just felt that really, really strongly. And then, so there was that, right? Which is big. But also, I mean, and then there were just like, I mean, it was bad. It was like substance abuse stuff, and then just like inappropriate boundary stuff that it just didn't, it wasn't good, in my humble opinion. And then, so right, there's that part. But then there's like the friendship part. And this is one of those friendships that, like, you know, had come from being in school together and doing sports together, and then just like going out together and going to bars and drinking, and like just that was a lot of what our friendship was based on. And then I had sort of just been going in a different direction in my life. Like, I was, like I said, heavy duty into like the self-development world and the spirituality world, and just interested in talking about and thinking about and analyzing things just in a different way than this friend of mine. It just didn't seem like anytime I would try to do conversations that were interesting to me and like, hey, like when we look at our patterns, or we look at what we want in life, or what does this mean? And that, like, this person just wasn't available for it or interested in it in a way that like we resonated together on it. So it just felt like that we were growing apart. And so like the doing the same thing like wasn't interested to me anymore. And that, coupled with what I felt like just this sort of big integrity moment of being in the wedding, it just didn't feel right. Like, I just felt like a liar, right? I just felt like my presence there just felt like a lie. And that's, I guess, the most sort of succinct way of explaining it. And I really did wrestle with like, what do I do? Like, I don't want to be mean. I would never like not be someone's friend or their bridesmaid. Like, I had never really done that in that way. And it was really stressful. In the end, I sort of just said, you know what? I don't think I should be in the wedding. And the fallout was major. And that is one thing I think that is important to think about if you were in this situation. You can't just like say you don't want to be in someone's wedding and expect to have like a very productive, useful conversation going forward about what the friendship looks like and what's going on. Like, it may be that like it will go terribly and they will never speak to you again. You know what I mean? And so you have to be ready for that part. And I think on some level, even though that part was really painful and really like, I didn't want it to be ugly in that way and sort of hurt in that way. It's sort of, you know how sometimes the ending reconfirms the entire problem in the first place. So it was like, okay, if it's not even worth a grown-up conversation in the sense that like my opinion matters or my feeling about anything matters, like, and again, when it's your wedding, you're highly sensitive. You are going through so much. I didn't even know at that point, obviously, because I was so not near getting married, that like I didn't know how emotionally intense of a time this was for her, and why having a friend drop out like probably was just beyond what she could process or handle or deal with. And I completely respect and get that. And I think that is just one of the things that you really want to keep in mind, is that like the timing sucks. But like I was telling you, I think I was telling you, I've been on TikTok lately and did a little survey. Like, if you have a friend in your bridal party who is feeling like they're outgrowing the friendship and the whole thing is like probably not going to last much longer, do you think it's better to say so now and kind of end things and step aside from the bridal party at this point? Or should you just sort of like zip it and get through the wedding and then let the friendship like fizzle out or end it however it's going to end? And what I'm telling you, gosh, I should have counted the comments. 9 out of 10, yeah, maybe 29 out of 30, like a very, very, very huge majority were saying like, please tell me now, please tell me now, please. Like do not go to my wedding, be in those pictures, and then make me resent and hate those pictures and those memories and that feeling that like that like you weren't even really there. You were there as like a favor and like that. And that's how I feel. I was just really, I'm, always curious like what other people feel like. And online, it seemed like everyone agreed. There were a few people that did say, like, oh my God, no. Like, do not stress me out with this. Like, let me get through my wedding day and then we'll deal and figure it out. And I have full respect for that approach too. Having been a bride, I kind of get like where you're just like, I cannot have this kind of major meltdown while I'm dealing with all this other stuff. And so I get that, completely respect it. And so, anyway, back to my story. The entire, obviously, friendship fell apart. We've never spoken since. And I think that that's okay in the sense that that's probably what was going to happen anyway. And I don't know, I wrestle with like, I would have loved a more graceful ending. I would have loved for there to be less pain on her side and me to feel less torture about the whole thing. But sometimes these things are really hard. And the bottom line was we were outgrowing our connection and our sort of season in each other's lives in a really organic, natural way. But it was something about the wedding and the whole bridesmaid thing that really shined the light on it and made it like impossible to ignore. And that's the thing about weddings. When I say that weddings shake up your relationships, it's like we all just kind of like get into our routine, our day to day, and are like, oh yeah, these are my friends. It's what we do. And we don't overthink it, right? We kind of go on autopilot because like until something begs to be changed, you don't need to change it. But the wedding, the like all these events and just the formality of it and the pictures and the money and the travel and the time, it really makes you be like, hold on, like what am I even doing? Do I even want to be doing this? Like it's different than like, oh, rolling up to the bar on Friday night and like chatting about your week. The stakes are low. So the sort of thought and intention we put into it is also low. But when the stakes get higher, we tend to wake up and pay attention. And I really think that that's what's happening in so many of these friendship fallouts that happen around weddings. It's because all of a sudden the glare of the spotlight, the money, the time, the effort, and just like there's something about those photos, man. The thinking of like, oh my gosh, if I am not friends with these people in the future, I'm going to feel so angry or frustrated or annoyed that like they ruined my pictures because they're not really in my life, because this wedding is like a snapshot of like who I am and who my people are, and the whole thing just takes on a lot of meaning. I think that it's just why the time is so intense and why the friendships do really go through a thing around the weddings. So, and you can see it too in lots of other ways where people in the bridal party are like jockeying for position, like I should have been the maid of honor, but so much goes on and you guys all know, and you write to me with your scenarios, which are always so fascinating. Keep doing that. I love to hear all the different ways in which this shows up. But for me, I just think in the end, it was the right thing. And I wonder if like with all the many, many, many years that has been in between this situation and now, like I hope that she feels like she can at least look back at her wedding pictures and feel that like the right people were there and there was nobody that was out of integrity, and that like I could still love her in this different way, like from afar, and not be in that closer bond that we had before, because like it just didn't fit anymore. And that is absolutely not mean that like she's a bad person or that I'm a bad person. It's just that we grow out of dynamics sometimes, especially friendships. And I think that's okay. I just think that it's so important if you were in this scenario to just follow your instincts and really look at the potential fallouts, because you might be thinking like, oh, I'm just going to like step aside from the wedding, but like continue the friendship. You are sort of dropping this on someone at a really, really emotionally vulnerable and intense time. And it might not go that way. So I just wanted to sort of put that out there, that like you have to sort of realize what's going on, and also realize there's lots of ways to be in integrity. Like I said, if you don't agree maybe that this is the best choice of a partner for your friend, you can still show up, stand right by her, knowing that like you were there all the steps of the way and that she can always count on you. And so again, no simple answers for this, no prescriptions, but just thought I would share a little bit of what happened with me, where it was coming from, how I thought about it, how I think about it now. It definitely still is such like a tender thing that I just am like, wow, I cannot believe that happened that way. And yet I'm proud of myself, but I'm also like disappointed in myself. I feel like I could have done it better, but I was sort of clumsy, but I was really trying to stay true to myself. But like that can be awkward, especially if you've been a people pleaser, which I definitely am in that camp. So this was very unfamiliar territory for me. But I do think it was like a life defining moment in the sense that like it took so much bravery to do that thing and follow that really strong feeling. And I think that in itself was just like a really, really important moment. Anyway, I will wrap this up, let you go noodle on it, and then circle back with your stories of bridesmaid fallout or friendship drama. And let me know if you have questions, you want more advice, you want me to explain it more. You can always find me on TikTok and Instagram, Kara the Bridal Coach, and book your appointment today. I don't know what I would have done if I was not talking to a professional during my wedding planning chapter. It is what absolutely saved me. So book your call, KaraMarine.com. I cannot wait to hear from you. Be in touch. I love you so much. Until next time, I'm wishing you nothing but bridal bliss.